Have you ever noticed how each moment in your life carries a special significance? Nothing happens by chance, and the fact that you're here reading these words is proof that there is a divine purpose guiding every step of your journey. God, in His infinite grace, knows exactly what you need, even before you ask. He has prepared this moment to show you that something grand is reserved for your life, something that can renew your strength, transform your story, and fill your heart with a peace that surpasses all understanding. Perhaps you are facing a difficult phase where the answers seem distant, and the weight of your struggles tries to silence your hope. But know this: God knows your battles. He sees every tear you shed in silence and understands the deepest cries of your heart. Even when everything seems lost, He is working on your behalf, planning something beyond what you can imagine. Don't be deceived by your circumstances. Trust that God's plans are always perfect, even when we don't fully understand them. For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord. Plans to prosper you and not to harm you. Plans to give you hope and a future. Jeremiah 29:11. This verse reminds us that God's purpose is always good, even in the moments we face storms. He leads us even through the darkest nights to the bright morning that awaits us. Today is an invitation, a calling for you to surrender yourself completely to the Father's care, to open your heart and allow Him to transform not just your dreams, but also your fears and weaknesses. Often we are tempted to believe that our limitations define us, that past mistakes or current challenges are insurmountable barriers. But God sees us differently. He doesn't just see who we are, He sees who we can become under His guidance and grace. He calls us to walk toward the extraordinary. If you feel this message speaks directly to you, allow yourself to believe. Allow yourself to dream again. Allow yourself to trust that no matter how difficult the challenges may be, there is a powerful God caring for every detail. He is ahead of all things, removing obstacles, opening doors that no one can close, and bringing answers that will surprise you. No matter how many times you have stumbled or how many doubts you have carried, He is here, ready to renew your strength and guide you toward the purpose He has planned. You are not alone. Even when loneliness feels overwhelming, God is present in every moment. When you feel you can't walk anymore, He is by your side, holding you up with His hands. When your faith wavers, He strengthens your spirit. He never abandons those who trust in Him. Trust that His promises are true and that His faithfulness is eternal. Remember that each battle we face is an opportunity to grow in faith and dependence on God. Each struggle shapes us and prepares us for what is to come. What you are going through today may be just a necessary part of the process for God's divine plan to unfold in your life. Don't give up along the way. God didn't bring you this far to abandon you. He is preparing something wonderful, something that exceeds any expectation you may have. Declare in faith, "I believe, Lord. I entrust everything into your hands." This simple act of trust has the power to move mountains and open pathways where there seem to be none. When we trust in God, we can see beyond our circumstances. We can experience the peace He offers us, even amidst tribulations. You may have felt discouraged, as if your efforts were insufficient or your dreams were too far away. But listen closely. God is not limited by our limitations. What seems impossible to us is just the beginning of something extraordinary for Him. What seems lost, He can restore. He is the God of the impossible, who transforms ashes into beauty and sorrow into joy. Today, God is calling you for a fresh start. He is telling you it's time to let go of what holds you back, to release your fears and insecurities, and to walk toward what He has for you. No matter where you are in your journey, God is ready to do something new. He is opening a new chapter in your story, filled with blessings, grace, and love. And when you see God's hand at work in your life, remember to share what He has done. Your story could be the answer to someone else's prayers. Your words can inspire others to trust in God as well. Never underestimate the impact your faith can have on someone's life. Every small act of love and kindness is a way to reflect God's character to the world. So if this message has touched your heart, share it. Someone, somewhere, needs to hear what God is doing in your life. Spread hope, spread faith, spread love. This is God's calling for each of us, to be a light in the world, witnessing His love and grace. God is present now, speaking to your heart. He is asking you to trust, to believe, to surrender. Don't let doubts or difficulties rob you of your faith. He is faithful to fulfill all He has promised. He is the same yesterday, today, and forever. And just as He acted in the past, He will act in your life, surprising you with His goodness and power. God has something precious reserved for you, something that surpasses any expectation or dream. He, who created the universe and knows every detail of your life, has not forgotten you. Every moment, from the beginning of your journey, has been shaped with a greater purpose. You may not understand it yet, but even the moments of pain and uncertainty hold deep significance. They are forming in you the strength needed to achieve something that in due time will be revealed. Often, we are tempted to focus solely on difficulties, allowing them to overshadow our hope. However, God calls us to see beyond what is visible. He invites you to open your spiritual eyes and see that even in the most challenging circumstances, He is working in your favor. For we live by faith, not by sight. 2 Corinthians 5:7. This is the moment to believe that even when everything seems still, God is moving the pieces for something incredible to happen in your life. If you've ever felt lost or unable to continue, know that this does not define who you are. Your worth is not in your weaknesses or mistakes, but in the fact that you were created in God's image. He not only knows your struggles, but walks alongside you in each of them. When you feel your strength is fading, He is the one who renews your energy, lifts you up, and empowers you to move forward. Imagine a masterpiece being painted. Each brushstroke, even those that seem random, has its place in the final outcome. Your life is like this masterpiece in the hands of God. He is painting a perfect picture, even if right now you can only see the unfinished parts. Trust the artist who knows exactly what he is doing and who never abandons the work he has begun. If there's a message that needs to echo in your heart today, it's that you are deeply loved. No matter what the world says, no matter what you have faced, God's love remains unchanged. He is a Father who cares, who restores, who reaches out to embrace you even when everything seems to be falling apart. This love is the strength that sustains your life, guides your steps, and never fails. Have you ever stopped to consider how special it is to be called a child of God? This is not just a distant or theoretical idea. It's a powerful truth. Being a child of God means you have access to everything He is and all that He can do. There are no impossibilities for Him, and because you are His child, you can trust that He will always work for your good. Sometimes, God allows us to face challenges to prepare us for something greater. He uses every situation, even those we don't understand, to shape and teach us. He does not abandon us in the storms. Rather, He is with us, calming our hearts and giving us the strength we need to continue. It is in this process that our faith is strengthened and we learn to depend entirely on Him. Do not let the voices of doubt and fear silence your faith. Remember that the voice of God is always stronger, always filled with love and hope. He is calling you to trust Him more deeply, to entrust all your plans, anxieties, and dreams into His hands. When we do this, we find peace, because we know we are under the care of someone who never fails. Today, God is offering you an opportunity to start anew. No matter what happened yesterday, no matter how many times you have fallen, He is ready to lift you up and guide you to a new path. This is the moment to leave behind the weight of the past and embrace the promise of a bright future, guided by God's grace. Believe that each new day is a chance to experience something extraordinary. If you feel you are in a place of uncertainty, where answers seem distant, remember that God is your refuge. He is the solid rock you can trust, even when everything around you seems unstable. He not only knows your path, but also lights it up, step by step, so you can walk securely. It is in His presence that we find true peace and the assurance that we are on the right path. When we look at the example of Jesus, we see how far God is willing to go for us. He did not spare any effort to rescue us, to offer us a life filled with purpose and meaning. And if He has done so much, why would we doubt that He will continue to care for every detail? He is faithful to His promises and is always by our side. Perhaps as you read these words, something is stirring within you. Perhaps it is the confirmation that God is speaking directly to your heart. If that is the case, do not ignore it. Allow yourself to respond to this call with faith and trust. Declare with conviction, "I believe, Lord. I entrust my life to you." These words hold power because they open the way for divine grace to operate in your life in an even deeper way. And when you feel the presence of God renewing your strength, don't keep it to yourself. Share this message with those around you. Every word of hope and faith that you sow has the power to transform lives, to lead others to experience the love and grace of God. Remember that you are also an instrument in His hands, used to spread light and love in a world that desperately needs it. God is always present, even when silence seems to dominate and answers take time to arrive. He watches every step you take and hears even the softest whispers of your heart. The beauty of God's love lies in His constant willingness to listen to us, even when we struggle to express what we feel. He does not require elaborate words. He simply desires that we turn to Him with sincerity, trusting that everything we place in His hands is being cared for perfectly. Have you noticed how nature reflects God's goodness? Just as the rain waters the earth to bring new life, God's love renews your soul and strengthens your spirit. He has not forgotten you. On the contrary, He is watering the seeds He has planted in your heart, waiting for the right moment for them to blossom into something wonderful. The journey may seem long, but trust that every stage has its purpose. Every challenge we face is like a season that prepares the ground for the next miracle. Often, waiting causes us to question if we are on the right path. We feel the weight of uncertainty and wonder if God is truly hearing our prayers. But remember, His timing is perfect. He never arrives late, nor does He act out of turn. God knows the ideal rhythm for each promise to come to fruition in your life. While you wait, He is shaping your character, strengthening your faith, and preparing you to receive something that will exceed all your expectations. If today you feel like you are in the midst of a storm, look to the example of Jesus calming the sea. Just as He said to the winds, "Be still," He can also bring peace to your heart. God is not indifferent to your struggles. He understands every tear, every sleepless night, every moment when the burden feels unbearable. He is the one who carries you in His arms when your strength seems insufficient. Perhaps you are facing something that feels impossible to overcome. Maybe the doors you hoped would open remain closed, or the dreams you nurtured seem distant. But know this: God specializes in turning the impossible into the possible. He opens paths where there seemed to be none, and makes the improbable become reality. He is the same one who raised Lazarus and multiplied loaves and fish. What He did in the past, He can do today in your life. God sees beyond what we can see. Where you see limits, He sees possibilities. Where you feel fear, He plants courage. What seems to be an end is for God just the beginning of something new. Trust that He is working in silence, preparing the exact moment to act in extraordinary ways in your story. The Bible reminds us, "Commit your way to the Lord, trust in Him, and He will act." Psalm 37:5. This is a promise that never fails. When we surrender our fears, dreams, and worries to divine care, we experience a peace that only He can provide. God never leaves a child forsaken, and He won't start with you. His love is constant, and His care is perfect. If you are struggling with doubts or feeling overwhelmed by difficulties, know that God is already ahead, preparing the way. He not only sees where you are, but also knows the destination to which He wants to lead you. Every step, even those that seem small, is being guided by His hand. You don't need to understand everything right now. Just trust that He knows exactly what He is doing. Looking at your life, you may see moments that don't make sense, situations that seemed unfair, or seasons of pain that felt endless. But know that God is the greatest storyteller, and He is writing an incredible narrative for your life. Every page, even those that are hard to read, is part of a greater purpose. In due time, you will see how each line connects and how everything contributed to something extraordinary. It's important to remember that God works from the inside out. He doesn't just want to change the circumstances around you. He desires to transform your heart, so you are prepared for everything He has planned. He wants you to trust Him not only on good days, but also during challenging moments. Because it is in difficulty that we learn to depend completely on His love and power. If you feel your strength is running low, take a pause and turn to God. Talk to Him, even if your words are simple or filled with emotion. God is not interested in the perfection of your prayers, but in the sincerity of your heart. He is a loving Father who desires to be close to you, to guide you, and to sustain you in every moment. As you journey on, remember that victory has already been secured through Jesus. He conquered everything for you. Therefore, no matter the size of the challenge you are facing, in Christ, you are more than a conqueror. He is your strength, your firm rock, your refuge in times of distress. If these words are touching your heart, know that this is not a coincidence. God is speaking to you now, calling you to trust Him more deeply. He is inviting you to leave behind your worries and fears and embrace the abundant life He has to offer. Do not keep this message to yourself. Share it with those around you. Often we are instruments of God to bring hope and love to those in need. Be a light in someone's life, reflecting His love in every gesture, word, and action. God knows the deepest part of your heart. He knows exactly how you feel, even what you have not been able to express. Every pain, every doubt, and every hope held in silence is known by Him. Nothing escapes God's care, and He is working on your behalf, even when everything around you seems still. Do not let discouragement or fear rob you of the certainty that there is a perfect plan being carried out in your life. Many times we are led to believe that our failures distance us from divine purpose. However, God is not limited by our mistakes. He is the God of restoration, who transforms our stumbles into lessons and leads us along a path of redemption. He never looks at us with disdain, but always with compassion. His love is so vast that nothing can separate us from it. Remember this when the weight of guilt or regret tries to speak louder. When we look at God's promises, we find in them an inexhaustible source of strength. He promised that He would never leave us nor forsake us. This promise, so simple, is one of the greatest declarations of love we can receive. Knowing that God is by our side at all times gives us courage to face any challenge. He not only walks with us, but also carries us when our strength is gone. Perhaps you are living a moment where questions seem to have no answers. There are days when struggles make us question why things happen a certain way. Yet God does not call us to understand everything, but to trust Him. Trust in the Lord with all your heart, and do not lean on your own understanding. Proverbs 3:5. This trust allows us to rest even when contrary winds blow. God is the one who transforms pain into purpose and sadness into joy. He has the power to use even the most difficult situations for our good. Every tear you have shed was not in vain. God saw each one of them and is preparing a time of harvest, where you will see the fruits of what you endured in faith. Difficulties do not define the end. They are the prelude to a victory that has already been secured by Him. If today you feel the weight of battles, know that God is fighting for you. Even when it seems like nothing is happening, He is moving heaven and earth to open paths you never imagined. His faithfulness never fails. He is the same God who parted the Red Sea, defeated giants, and made the impossible happen. He has not changed, and that same power is available in your life now. There are moments when it seems easier to give up, but remember, God has not given up on you. He continues to believe in your potential even when you cannot see it. He calls you by name and affirms that you are His, chosen to live something grand. God's plan does not depend on human strength, but on His grace and power. Trust that at the right time, He will act. God is the one who renews. Just as morning brings new opportunities, He offers each day the chance to start over. No matter how many times you have failed, He is ready to restore your life. Each dawn is a reminder of God's faithfulness, proof that He is doing new things. Just open your heart and allow Him to do what only He can accomplish. If you feel you are in a season of waiting, know that waiting is never empty when we are in God's hands. He uses this time to prepare us, to strengthen our faith, and to shape our character. God does not rush what He is creating with such love. He knows exactly when the right moment will be to release what He has planned for you. Sometimes, all we need is a step of faith. God does not require you to have all the answers or to be completely prepared. He only asks that you trust Him, take the first step, and believe that He will take care of the rest. Even a small act of faith can open doors to miracles you never thought possible. God is also a Father who cares about the details. He does not only concern Himself with major events, but is also present in the simplest moments of your life. When you invite him into your day, even in the mundane tasks, he rejoices and works on your behalf. Do not underestimate the power of God's presence in every small aspect of your day. If these words resonate with your heart, allow God to continue speaking to you. He desires a deep relationship where you can share your dreams, concerns, and gratitude. He is a loving Father, always ready to listen and guide. Just open your heart and seek His presence. There is no better place to be than at His feet. And when you experience God's faithfulness in your life, don't forget to share that with others. Your testimony could be the message of hope that someone needs to hear. Your words can be the bridge that leads another person to know the love and power of God. Be a light wherever you are, spreading faith, love, and kindness. God has something powerful to accomplish in your life. He not only knows your needs, but also understands the deepest longings of your heart. When everything around you seems to crumble, remember that He is your fortress, your unshakable rock. Each moment of difficulty is an opportunity to experience the greatness of God in a way you never imagined. He not only sees your struggles, but is using each of them to shape you and prepare something greater. Even on days when hope feels distant, God is by your side. He is with you in the quiet mornings, the longest nights, and the unfamiliar paths you need to walk. No matter how uncertain the situation appears, He remains the God who transforms uncertainties into miracles. In His word, He reminds us, "When you pass through the waters, I will be with you, and when you go through the rivers, they will not sweep over you." Isaiah 43:2. This promise is a reminder that God will never abandon you regardless of the circumstances. There is something special about the way God works. He sees beyond what our eyes can perceive. What seems to be an insurmountable obstacle could be the very door He is using to lead you to something extraordinary. God never wastes a moment. He transforms chaos into order, pain into learning, and waiting into unexpected achievements. Trust that even when you don't understand what is happening, He is crafting a perfect plan. Perhaps you are facing a situation where you feel small in the face of difficulties. It is in these moments that God reveals Himself as greater than any problem. He not only has the power to resolve what seems impossible, but also to strengthen you while you wait for the fulfillment of His promises. The strength you need does not come from yourself, but from God, who is the source of all power and hope. When you feel weak or directionless, remember that God is the one who renews your strength. He is like a gentle wind that blows into your life, bringing new breath when you think you cannot go on. He is the God who makes all things new, transforming deserts into gardens and crooked paths into straight roads. His faithfulness never fails, and He always fulfills what He promises. God is also the one who opens doors. Even when everything seems closed, He has the power to create paths where none exist. He can use unexpected circumstances to bring answers you didn't even know you needed. Don't give up before seeing what God is about to do. Your waiting is never in vain when He is in control. Every second is part of something greater, a divine construction that will lead you to places you never imagined. Have you noticed how God is present in the details? He is not just the creator of the universe. He is also the caretaker of every moment in your life. He knows what you need even before you ask. It's like a father who knows his children well and anticipates their needs. This attention to the smallest details is proof of the unconditional love He has for you. Often, we are tempted to believe that we are unworthy of God's love, but this is a lie we must reject. God loves you just as you are, with all your imperfections and doubts. His love does not depend on your successes or performance, but on His choice to love you unconditionally. When this truth is accepted, it liberates and brings a new meaning to life. If today you feel like you are carrying a weight, know that God is the one who can lighten your burden. He invites you to leave everything at His feet, exchanging your load for the peace that only He can offer. This peace is not the absence of problems, but the certainty that He is in control and that everything is being cared for by His hands. He never leaves a child without answers. It may take time, but He always responds, and His answers are perfect. As you reflect on God's goodness, it is impossible not to think of His promises. He is a God of covenant, who never goes back on His word. Every promise He has made to you remains valid, even when time seems long. He does not forget any detail, and at the right moment, He will make everything happen perfectly. Waiting may be difficult, but it is part of the process that is shaping you for something grand. If you feel your heart is restless or burdened, God is calling you to rest in Him. This rest is not passivity, but a confident surrender that He is taking care of everything. Often we try to solve things on our own, forgetting that God is already ahead, preparing the way. Surrender everything to Him. Trust, and see how He transforms your worries into testimonies of victory. And when you experience God's care and goodness, don't keep it to yourself. Share what He has done in your life. Your words could be the motivation someone else needs to seek God and find the same hope in Him. Every small act of faith you share has the power to impact lives in ways you may never know. God is with you right now, present in every detail of your life. He knows your journey, your struggles, and your dreams. He sees beyond what your eyes can reach and is shaping a future that you may not yet fully comprehend. Even when the days seem long and the answers feel distant, God remains faithful, working for all things to work together for your good. His presence is constant, and He never withdraws, regardless of what you may be facing. Often, we ask why certain challenges arise in our path. Why must we go through situations that seem so difficult to bear? But it is in those moments that God teaches us to trust in His care. He reminds us that just as gold is refined by fire, our faith is strengthened in the midst of adversities. It is not just about overcoming problems, but learning to depend completely on Him. God is the one who transforms everything in your life. He is capable of using even moments of pain to bring growth and purpose. When you surrender your worries and fears into His hands, you realize that you are not alone. God is always by your side, even in the quietest nights and the toughest days. He is the refuge that never fails, the fortress that supports you when your own strength seems depleted. Perhaps you feel like your prayers are going unanswered, but know that God hears every cry of your heart. He does not forget you or ignore your requests. Sometimes His silence is merely a reminder that He is preparing something much greater than you can imagine. At the right moment, doors will open and answers will come, bringing with them the assurance that everything was worth it. God is the Lord of time. He does not act according to our urgency, but according to His perfection. To everything there is a season and a time for every matter under heaven. Ecclesiastes 3:1. This truth encourages us to rest, knowing that we are not late but moving in God's perfect rhythm. He does not make mistakes, and every detail of His plan is being carefully adjusted for the precise moment. If today you feel like you are carrying an overwhelming burden, God is calling you to lay it at His feet. He is the one who lightens your load and brings rest to your soul. There is nothing you are facing that is too great for Him. God is greater than any challenge, stronger than any adversity, and wiser than any doubt. He invites you to trust and to relinquish everything into His hands. The journey will not always be easy, but God promises to be with you every step of the way. He guides, sustains, and strengthens, even when you feel you cannot go on. His love is like a beacon in the storm, pointing the way and bringing hope. When everything seems dark, He is the light that never goes out. He is present, holding your hand and saying, "Do not fear, for I am with you." Perhaps you are in a season of waiting, where things seem stagnant and dreams feel distant. But remember that God works in silence. While you wait, He is preparing you to receive the best He has to offer. Waiting is not wasting time. It is a process that brings maturity and draws us closer to God. Trust that He is doing something magnificent behind the scenes of your life. God does not forget any promise. What He has spoken, He will fulfill. Every word that has come from His mouth remains valid, and nothing can thwart the fulfillment of what He has planned. No matter how circumstances may try to discourage you, keep your faith firm. God is not a man to lie, nor the Son of Man to change His mind. What He has promised, He will do at the right time and in a perfect way. If today you are facing doubts or fears, surrender everything into God's hands. He is not impressed by your weaknesses, but is the one who uses your frailty to manifest His strength. He does not ask you to be perfect. He only asks that you trust Him and allow Him to work in your life. He is the God who transforms hearts, renews minds, and makes all things new. When you look back, you will see that every step, no matter how difficult, was part of a greater plan. God never wastes pain, never ignores tears, and never abandons a child. He is with you, sustaining and guiding you until you reach the purpose He has designated. And when you get there, you will understand how every detail was necessary for the plan to unfold. God also desires you to share the hope He places in your heart. Your story can be a powerful testimony for others. Every victory, no matter how small, is a reminder of God's faithfulness and can be the inspiration someone else needs. Be a light on the path for others, reflecting God's love and goodness in all that you do. Today is the day to renew your trust in God. No matter what happened yesterday, what matters is that God is present now, ready to bring new opportunities and a fresh start. He never tires of loving you, caring for you, and working on your behalf. His faithfulness is eternal, and His goodness never fails. God is speaking to your heart at this moment, bringing a message of hope and renewal. He knows the weight you carry and understands the battles you have faced. Nothing escapes His notice. He not only sees your struggles but stands beside you, sustaining you with His mighty hand. Even when you feel you are at your limit, God is saying, "I am here. Trust in me and see what I can do in your life." Often we feel discouraged by circumstances, as if we are trapped in a cycle of endless problems. But God has the power to break those cycles. He is the one who turns seemingly impossible situations into great victories. When everything seems lost, He acts in ways that defy our understanding. As it is written, "Those who hope in the Lord will renew their strength. They will soar on wings like eagles. They will run and not grow weary. They will walk and not be faint." Isaiah 40:31. This promise is for you, to assure you that God will never allow your strength to run out. God specializes in new beginnings. He does not look at you based on your past or the mistakes you have made, but with eyes full of grace and love. He sees incredible potential in you and a unique purpose. He is the one who erases the marks of yesterday and offers a new day filled with opportunities. No matter where you are or what you have faced, God is ready to transform your story. There are moments in life when questions seem more numerous than answers. You may be wondering why things happen the way they do. However, God invites us to trust Him, even when we do not understand the paths He is taking. Faith is not based on what we can see, but on what we believe. God asks you to trust, even when the scenario does not make sense, because He is always working in your favor. Perhaps you feel like you are in a time of waiting, where dreams seem distant and answers are slow to arrive. But remember that God's timing is not like ours. He is preparing something much greater than you can imagine. What you see as a delay, God sees as preparation. Every moment is being used to shape you, to strengthen your faith, and to prepare your heart to receive the blessings He has in store. God also wants you to know that you are not alone. Even in moments when loneliness seems to dominate, He is present. His companionship is constant even when you do not feel or perceive it. He is the faithful friend who never abandons and the loving Father who always cares. In moments of silence, He is listening. In moments of pain, He is comforting. And in moments of doubt, He is sustaining. If you feel like you've lost control over any area of your life, God is asking you to hand it over to Him. Often we try to hold everything in our own hands, but God invites us to rest in His sovereignty. When we surrender our worries to Him, we experience a peace that surpasses all understanding. He is more than capable of caring for what concerns us, and He desires for you to trust that everything is in His hands. Now is the time to release your fears, your doubts, and all the burdens you carry into the hands of the one who transforms tears into joy and struggles into victories. Allow God to renew your heart, strengthen your faith, and rekindle the hope that seemed lost. He is calling you to live a new story, full of purpose and fulfillment. Don't ignore this divine invitation. Subscribe to the channel and give a like to keep receiving messages that change lives. Share this word and be an instrument of light and love in the lives of others.